Hello everyone and welcome to Katharine's Creatures. This is a series where I get to talk a little bit about and touch base upon various mythological beasts, beings, and the like pulled from lore worldwide. And I always like to preface by saying that I'm not a linguist, so if I mispronounce anything, I do apologize in advance. And today I wanted to talk about an unusual one, and this is the Demogorgon. And for all you D&D fans out there, if your ears kind of started to perk up, well, this one is going to be talking about the origin of the Demogorgon, which is one of the many, many creatures used in the game D&D and some other shows and spin-offs based upon that game system. Anywho, so the Demogorgon is thought of either as a deity or a demon, usually associated with the underworld or some kind of underworld, depending on the belief. It is often ascribed back to Greek mythology, but in truth, more people now believe that it is probably a mistake, and that some copyist along the way misidentified, misunderstood some kind of commentary, predominantly one based on the 4th century scholar, and let me see if I can pronounce this name even remotely close, the 4th century scholar Lactantius Placidus. And because that man wrote about using certain terms like demigars, which again may have been mistranslated into the word Demogorgon. Now, with that said, where are we going with this? So the Demogorgon kind of came out of more or less nowhere. There's no real proof for sure that it actually did trace back to Greek myth, but when it did appear, people started wondering what the Demogorgon was, and so around the medieval period, there was commentary based on Placidius's work and trying to understand this potential word and the way it was referred to. And they began to believe that it was some kind of supernatural being. And in quote, there's a quote attributed to it that the Demogorgon was a supernatural being of the threefold world. Well, what the heck does that mean? And that was the question. So people over the medieval period started believing that this was some kind of supreme god or an ancient god, and one where a number of people agreed that its actual name is one that is not permitted to be known, and so it was assigned the term Demogorgon as kind of a word that people could utilize instead of its true name. Now, as the sources kind of began to change and evolve, by the late Middle Ages, some people now started believing again with these kind of misconceptions and kind of curiosity of what the Demogorgon actually was. Some people refer to it as the son of Pan, which is a demigod from Greek myth, again trying to link it back to Greek mythology by the late Middle Ages. As time goes on, you get to the Renaissance. And by the Renaissance, the Demogorgon was more or less assumed to be some kind of primal god. And there were lots of terms that were utilized along with it, including terror demon, demon gorgon, a god of earth, etc., so on. So again, believing it was more of an ancient god and forgotten god. Now, in literature, this concept of the Demogorgon started appearing as well, and it was referred to and referenced in the works Dr. Faustus, where actually Dr. Faustus tried to, I think it was summon it in that story. There's also the book The Fairy Queen, and actually it's one that is on my shelf and I've been waiting to read, but also references the Demogorgon in that work. And the most common one you hear today is the fact that it is used in the game D&D, so Dungeons and Dragons, and you will actually see that residual effect that flowed into the TV series that utilizes a lot of D&D themes, Stranger Things, because the Demogorgon is a name the kids in that series give one of the monstrosities in that series. So the Demogorgon is around and will probably remain here in modern fiction and modern fantasy, but the true origin of it is still a little bit of a mystery. Maybe it was a misrepresentation or mistranslation of a word. Maybe it was from some kind of creature forgotten by time from an earlier period, Greek mythology, who knows? Let me know your thoughts. And if you have any questions or comments about this, please post them in the comments below or reach out to me on any of my social media. And until next time, everyone, Skål.